Welcome to Breaking Down Mental Health with Dr. Jones. In these educational videos, Dr. Jones will discuss mental health diagnosis, clinical supervision, using technology in counseling, multiculturalism, and many other topics to help you get a healthy understanding of why mental health is important. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button if you enjoy these videos.
Okay, so staying ahead in mental health,
Yeah.
it feels like you're constantly needing to adapt, right?
Oh, absolutely. Especially with technology changing how we guide and support people.
Right. And for this deep dive, we're really zeroing in on one specific area. Telemental health supervision. We're drawing on insights from Dr. Michael Jones. He's got a lot of experience here.
Yeah, he really does.
Think of this as like your quick guide to the big shifts and what you really need to consider when supervising remotely.
We want to boil down Dr. Jones's thoughts into, practical stuff you can actually use.
Exactly, without getting totally bogged down in all the details. So let's jump in with something foundational, something that really shifts online, licensure, specifically across state lines.
It's amazing, isn't it? Just moving supervision online suddenly highlights how complex licensure really is.
Yeah.
Dr. Jones often mentions how this specific topic just gets so much discussion in his classes. Students asking these really critical questions.
About navigating all the different state rules, I bet.
Exactly. And it really points to a shift in what a supervisor needs to do. It's not just about knowing the rules anymore.
Right. It's more about, what? Equipping supervisees.
Yes, equipping them to figure out and apply the rules in their own specific situation. That's what Dr. Jones emphasizes.
So it's kind of meta. It's teaching them how to fish, basically, how to investigate their own board's requirements.
Precisely. Because, with all the state-by-state differences, there's just no single answer that fits everyone.
Makes sense. These jurisdictional hurdles are, well, they're a big deal in cross-state supervision.
They really are. And Dr. Jones has this great perspective. Even if you, as the supervisor, don't know the answer for, say, Idaho, you can model how to figure it out, how to navigate those, complicated regulatory systems.
They're showing them the way, even if you don't have the map completely memorized yourself.
Exactly. It's empowering them with those navigation skills for this often murky territory. The supervisor becomes a guide for the discovery process itself.
I like that, guiding the process. Okay, so building on that legal foundation, the next big piece has got to be competence, right? Especially when tech and best practices are, always changing.
Oh, definitely. And Dr. Jones has some really good insights here.
Yeah.
He often tells this anecdote. A student asked him if just doing a telemental health training automatically means you're fully competent.
I could see someone asking that. What did he say?
Well, his response was pretty clear. Formal training. Absolutely essential starting point. But it's not the end of the road. Not by a long shot.
So it's like getting your driver's permit, not the full license.
Kind of, yeah. It's an initial qualification, maybe, but it doesn't guarantee you'll stay competent.
And he points to things like the BCTMH, right? The Board Certified Telemental Health Provider credential, as a solid foundation.
Yes, exactly. And it's worth noting, the training he provides for that, it's board approved, and it covers those key things. Telehealth ethics, using the tech effectively. And crucially, how to adapt your clinical approach for virtual settings. So it gives you a really strong base.
Okay, a strong base. But then what?
Well, this is what Dr. Jones really stresses. Competence isn't static. It's, dynamic. It's a process. Meaning you've got to keep engaging with new research. You need to be constantly self-reflecting on your work and willing to adapt as standards evolve.
So it's like staying in shape. You can't just go to the gym once.
Exactly. That's a great analogy. It requires consistent effort.
So the BCTMH is a springboard, like Dr. Jones says, but you need that ongoing self-assessment, paying attention to client needs remotely, staying updated.
Right, which kind of leads naturally into, well, how do we stay informed? How do we pick good sources for ongoing learning?
Yeah, good question. Because there's so much out there.
There is. And Dr. Jones really emphasizes being a critical consumer of, continuing education. It's not just about ticking boxes for credits.
Right, it's about actually learning something useful.
Exactly. It's thoughtfully choosing opportunities that genuinely boost your skills and knowledge for telemental health.
So Dr. Jones suggests we should be asking specific questions when looking at CE providers.
He lays out a few key ones, like, is this training actually based on solid evidence?
Okay, makes sense.
Is the information current? Does it align with the latest best practices? And super important, does it address the specific ethical stuff and the needs of your clients in a virtual world?
That specificity seems key.
It is. And also, according to Dr. Jones, you really need to look at the source. Who's teaching this?
Their expertise?
Yeah, their expertise, but also can they connect the theory to like real world practice? Can they bridge that gap?
So you want someone who's actually done it, not just read about it.
Pretty much. You're looking for people who have that deep understanding and can guide you in actually applying this stuff day to day.
Got it. So Dr. Jones's advice is basically don't just go for what's easy or familiar.
Right. Seek out the CE that actually challenges you, that makes you think, and that will ultimately help you serve your clients better. Prioritize growth.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about something really forward-looking that Dr. Jones has apparently been exploring. AI, artificial intelligence in supervision.
Whoa. Yeah, that's definitely a frontier topic.
Right.
Dr. Jones notes that his students are getting really interested in this, asking about AI applications, and you can kind of see why.
What sort of applications is he mentioning?
Well, he points to a few possibilities that could, potentially reshape things, like AI helping with documentation.
The bane of everyone's existence.
Tell me about it. Or offering data-driven feedback, maybe even analyzing session recordings for patterns or areas needing focus.
That sounds potentially powerful, maybe efficient. More objective data.
Maybe. But, and this is a big but from Dr. Jones, we have to be really careful as we explore this.
Okay. Ethical concerns. Privacy.
All of the above. Data privacy is huge, potential bias in the algorithms, and maybe most importantly, the fact that you absolutely still need human judgment.
Right. Technology is a tool.
Exactly. Dr. Jones is very clear. AI, at least as we know it now and probably for a while, can support supervision. It can augment it.
But it can't replace the human part.
Precisely. It should never supplant that core relationship, the nuanced understanding, the judgment calls. Those are indispensable.
That human element is key. So Dr. Jones sees AI as a potential helper, but always in service of that human connection, never replacing it.
That's the core message, yeah.
Okay. Let's shift slightly again. Another area that gets interesting in the virtual world, group supervision.
Ah, yes. Dr. Jones has seen how moving online creates both, opportunities and definite challenges for groups.
Opportunities like easier access, maybe.
Definitely easier access. It can really help build shared learning and peer support, especially for people who might be geographically isolated.
Yeah, I can see that being valuable, reducing that feeling of being alone when you're working remotely.
For sure. But Dr. Jones also points out the hurdles. Big ones.
Like confidentiality.
That's a major one. How do you maintain that securely online? And also just engagement, making sure everyone feels comfortable, feels heard in a virtual group.
It's harder to read the room online sometimes.
Much harder. So creating that psychological safety, it needs a really deliberate, intentional approach online. Way more so than in person, maybe.
What does Dr. Jones suggest for that?
Well, things like setting really clear, explicit ground rules about confidentiality from the very start.
Okay.
And actively facilitating, making sure you draw out quieter members, being aware of how power dynamics might play out differently online, using the tech thoughtfully to encourage interaction, not hinder it.
So it's definitely not just about logging into a video call and carrying on as usual.
No, not at all.
Ah.
It needs a really adapted, thoughtful strategy. And Dr. Jones's main takeaway here is that intentionality.
Right.
You have to make a conscious effort to make sure all voices are heard and that confidentiality is really rigorously protected in that online space.
Makes total sense. Okay, so as we kind of wrap up this dive into Dr. Jones's insights, he leaves us with a couple of reflection questions, right?
He does, and they're really good ones. Not just academic, They're meant to get you thinking actively about your own practice.
Okay, let's hear them. These sound valuable for anyone in this field.
So the first one Dr. Jones poses is, how are you actively maintaining your competence in telemental health?
Okay, and he has sub-questions for that.
Yeah, within that, he wants you to think specifically about your current strengths in this area and also where you see potential areas for growth or maybe where you need more consultation.
Okay, good self-assessment prompt. What's the second one?
The second focuses on that relational, ethical piece in virtual supervision, whether it's one-on-one or group. The question is, how do you ensure that your supervision remains relational and ethical in these virtual spaces?
And again, drilling down further.
Yep. He prompts you to reflect on the specific, intentional things you do to build that psychological safety and that genuine connection when you're working remotely with supervisees.
Wow. Those aren't just quick questions. Dr. Jones really wants us to dig deep there.
Definitely. He sees them as a call to action, to really apply these ideas and examine how we're actually doing things.
Okay. So pulling it all together from Dr. Jones's insights, we've touched on, let's see, cross-state licensure complexities.
Right. The ongoing need for competence.
How to choose your CE wisely.
The whole emerging area of AI in supervision.
And the specific dynamics of group supervision online. Quite a bit.
It is. And through it all, those core principles from Dr. Jones keep coming up.
Like staying ethical.
Staying competent.
And staying curious, adaptable.
Exactly. That seems to be the thread tying it all together.
So what Dr. Jones really highlights is that telemental health supervision, it opens doors, right? Broader access, more connection maybe.
Yeah, huge opportunities, but it absolutely requires us to be deliberate, thoughtful, grounded in ongoing learning, and always committed to ethics.
Well said. Thanks for walking us through all that. And thank you out there listening for taking this deep dive with us. Your work in providing this kind of support is incredibly important.
It really is.
And maybe just one final thought to leave you with, kind of building on Dr. Jones's points. As tech gets woven ever deeper into mental health services, how do we, as practitioners, as supervisors, proactively shape our standards, shape our own growth, to not just react to change, but to really lead and excel in this remote landscape? Something to chew on.